Welcome to the Overcomers meeting tonight. Let's hear some noise. There we go. That's much better. How about you help me open this up with the Serenity Prayer? Tony?
What's up, guys? I'm Tony, all the above. Repeat after me. Who woke us up? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting it as a hardship as a pathway to peace. Taking it Jesus did, this sinful world that it is, not was if I have it. Trusting you make all things right if I surrender to your will.
In this world and supremely happy in the next. Okay, just a few group rules before we get started. First and foremost, everybody be nice. Second, please try to watch your language. We will not kick you out if something slips. But remember, this is a family-friendly environment and there are children here. And please try to limit your shares to 3 minutes or less. All right, Fred. Okay. And
You know what time it is?
clean time. All right, Andy, here you go, brother.
What's up, Overcomers?
What's up, Andy?
So around here, we like to celebrate clean time, and we do it every month because you need to be proud and recover out loud. We're proud of you, and we love you, and you need to come up here and get yours. So we're going to start off with 30 days. Does anybody have 30 days? What about 60 days?
My name's Cody.
Okay, buddy. About 90 days. 90. What about 4 months? Let's go. Let's go. Okay. What about 5 months? You got 4? Oh, okay. Another 4 months. Congratulations. Any more 4 months? What about 5 months? What about 6 months? 7 months? Let's go, man. Yeah. What about 8 months? Anybody? Oh yeah, big dog got the 8 months. Let's go, Josh. What about 9 months? No, 9 months. What about 10 months? Okay, keep working. What about 11 months? What about 1 whole year? 18 months. Let's go, Tony. I love you. Pump baby with that one too. Got 2 of them. We love you. We're definitely proud of you. I ain't gotta ask you to come back. I know you're gonna be Do any of y'all have clean time that you can celebrate? We're about up through it, and I don't want to miss nobody. Brittany, any of y'all? Okay. Come. So around here, we like to do the most important one last, and that's the 24-hour token. If you are in this room, you're in the right place, and we just want to let you know that we're proud of you. What'd you say? Oh, multiple years? Anybody got that? I'm sorry, I apologize. Multiple years? All right. Okay. Oh, okay. I ain't got a coin for it though, but you got a hug coming up.
My name is Darren. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. 10 years ago, I walked in one of these rooms and said, no more, no more. It's not been easy. It's not been the easiest thing I've ever done, but what I've gained in this are my kids back, my family back, my house back, my car back, and most importantly, the best relationship with Jesus Christ I ever had. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be alive today. Say that.
No, we ain't got the 2-year one, do we? Who got 2 years? Crystal got 2 years. Get a hug. He's proud of you. We need to get the multiple years.
I got 2 years.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, now the most important one, 24-hour token. If you're in this room, like I was saying, you're in the right place, and we're proud of you for the decision that you made. And no need to be ashamed or feel nervous or whatever. Just come up here and get it. Is there anybody that would like to celebrate 24 hours clean and sobriety? No? Well, if you haven't used or drank today, give God a hand.
Okay, the next guy is about to introduce our speaker. So after the speaker tonight, I want to save some time for any questions or comments you may have. But before the man of the hour, here's Donnie.
Yeah.
What's up, fam? How many is really glad to be here tonight? For real? No, I am. I'm so excited and honored to be able to introduce our speaker tonight. And his topic and his theme lines right up with the season today, because we're talking about fear and how to overcome fear. You guys ever watch scary movies?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on all the time, right? I get into Netflix and I start watching these movies, and I'm watching it from the TV, hoping I feel like I'm getting involved in the movie sometimes. I'm like, why are you dropping the keys, bro? What are you doing? Like, get in the car. What do you run? Why would you go to the graveyard? Like, the times where we look at fear as entertainment, the reality in the world that we come from as alcoholics and addicts is fear is a real animal. Fear could cause you and rob you from everything that God has for you.
Come on. Absolutely.
And it takes a process sometimes. Well, for me, I know it took a process for me to work fears out of my life. It's one of the 4 things that we got to look out for in our program. Dishonesty, selfishness, resentments, and fear. So I'm excited to introduce our guy tonight because he has been through all 12 of his steps. He's got almost a couple years clean. I'll let him tell you all about it. But I mean, when I saw this guy come in the program, come into the rooms, I saw something in his eyes that I rarely see. But I saw a hunger for something different. I saw the willingness to get down and dirty and work his steps and get busy about his business. And I'll let him tell you all about what God has done for him. But I'm just so proud of him. And help me welcome tonight, Robert Lewis.
Yeah!
Tell him about Jesus, but
Hello.
Use the red mic. Use the red mic.
The red one. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, don't turn it on.
Come on, Doug.
Hi everyone, my name is Robert, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict.
Rob.
I'm also saved by the grace of Jesus Christ. honored to be here. I'm glad everyone showed up. A special shout out to my life-changing family care services that showed up for me. I'm nervous, but I don't have to do this thing perfect. I just have to do this thing.
Come on.
For what I came from and where I'm at now. So I want to start with some vulnerability for myself. So I'll explain. I was born in Hamilton, Ohio. I grew up there. I have an older sister and I have a younger sister. And in between myself, being a boy, my mom didn't know what to do, to raise a man or whatever. That's okay. Another glaring issue for myself was I was born with amniotic band syndrome. It could have came from a lot of things, but my mom drank when I was in the womb with me, so it could have caused some, amniotic issues. Trust me, that's the least of my problems. So growing up, man, we were poor as could be. My mom, I didn't have a father in my life at the time, but we did have. My mom had a boyfriend who was a vicious, mean person, vicious, drunk person who really beat my family and myself, in the worst ways possible. I guess my mom seemed fit to have somebody in her life out of fear of being lonely as well. So that's a fear that was instilled in me, love hurt. My mom didn't care too much for love to hurt as long as someone was there. So her fear of being alone and stuff like that led me and my sisters to really struggle. And that's part of the neglect that I suffered as a kid, as part of the abuse that I suffered as a kid and stuff. Growing up, in Hamilton, Ohio, I grew up on north end of Hamilton most of my life. But it was so crazy because I went to 12 different schools by the time I was in 6th grade because we kept running from children's services and stuff. And back then, it wasn't like it is now. But we was just running from school system to school system because, obviously the signs were all there that we were being abused and we were being mistreated as kids. And so was my mom. So she was propping him up as it went along, and causes me a lot of damage as a child. A lot of fear came from that. So from there, I had a lot of friends outside of my home. And, they were roughnecks, but they all had the same particular problems I had. It was either poor or rough childhoods or addiction problems or, family problems or whatnot. Dad's not there, mom's not there. I mean, the whole gauntlet of things that, we go through. And so we all come together and I felt okay, but a lot of that was like violence and, a lot of criminal activity. Like that's what I was. By the time I was 10 and a half years old, I was already in jail. Like my feet didn't even touch the ground as a youth, and my dad was in my life, but he was a pretty vicious drunk as well, like serious drunk. And he would just come down times to party with my mom and them and stuff. But he never did anything about the monster in my house. And I always had a problem with that, like I wasn't good enough. So like back then, mom would leave us at home all the time when we were kids. I mean, little kids, and go out to the bar and get drunk with her boyfriend. And of course, when he came home, it was violence. It was, beating on us, and like there was nowhere to run to. And even if I was told not to tell counselors at school, I mean, I was in a terrible situation that I felt like I could never get out of. So that instilled a lot of fear in me. We ran from the cops because, and back then, the cops would show up at your house, your mom's got black eyes and stuff. They just said, "You want to press charges?" "No." "All right, we're leaving." And this went on for, like the first 10 years of my life. I never remember a time where this person wasn't in my life, beating my family into a bloody pulp, So I had a lot of fear from that. So then finally things hit the fan, and we were removed from my mom's custody, and we were split up. And to be honest, I never really reconciled with my family from there, not my sisters nor my mother. And that had a profound effect on me too, because now I'm in the system. I'm away from everything I knew. I'm away from my sisters, which offered me some kind of comfort in my life, my mom and my sisters. So that was really hard for me. And I was already a criminal. I was already but the streets were accepting of me and all my pain. Like we shared a common kind of pain. We all came together to talk about how terrible our home lives were and how terrible our parents were. So I was separated from the family, which was a relief in a way because I was away from my abuser, which was all right for me then, but I missed my family terribly. So back to the amniotic band syndrome thing, people ask me, were you bullied? No. Were you made fun of? Yeah, but that was the least of my problems. My home life was more overbearing than my personal and physical situations. I was cool with a lot of people, so either I was protected or I protected myself because violence was not a problem. I mean, you say something like, we're going to fight. If I didn't, my friends would beat me up and I'm beating someone up. So violence became a way for me to express my fear, which is really not, that's not healthy and conducive at all. So, yeah, that was the least of my problems. It's made me who I am today. I wouldn't change it for nothing. They said, hey, do you want a hand transplant? I would flatly refuse because it makes me who I am today. So moving on, so the streets was a way for me to run away from what was at home, and with that, the trauma became such a degree of, you see things and they bother you and they scare you, but you can turn that off. It goes away. It subsides. I never got the message in my brain that the threat was over with. The threat was over with. So, going through life, what started to happen was I got my windshield wipers on full, in a drizzle, or even not raining at all. So that was the effect it had on me. I couldn't see. I didn't have any clarity whatsoever in my life. So finally, my dad steps up to the plate, and I live with him. And of course, first time I met him, at least on that level, not just stopping by drunk and then leaving. He pulled me into his house around, I was 11, and it was because he showed up to a court date of mine for burglary, 11 years old. I thought that was a good idea. My feet didn't touch the ground in courtroom. I was a little kid, and I guess some kind of guilt or shame within him said, this kid needs rescued. I need to save this kid. He kind of knew that what I was going through at home, but he just didn't have the capacity to fix that for me, which I had a lot of resentment towards him. Of course, he wasn't healed or fixed from whatever he had dealt with, and untreated addiction. He's never worked a program. He uses to this day. Well, both my parents use to this day. It's not to the degree that I know, but it's still a way to cope and deal that they use, which it's not necessarily helpful. But so I go live with him, and things just got out of control. I'm already messed up. I'm a wounded little boy. I'm a scared little boy, and he's a big, tough, ex-boxer. So his way was to, carry a big stick as far as I'm concerned. And it's that's not what I needed. So it instilled more fear in me because he said to me at one point, every con you've ever conned, I've conned it. Every drug you've ever did, I've done it. Every fight you've ever been in, I've done that. So immediately I was diminished. And also, he just didn't let me grow too big, for whatever reasons. Probably a lot of guilt and shame that he had from not being there in the early part of my life, which again had a profound effect on me as far as fear goes. I just didn't have the character or fortitude to stand up for who I was, my character. I just didn't have the tools to fix all that stuff. So, early childhood. So he messes back up. So it it was not very long, maybe a couple of years. So around age 12, I ended up bouncing around families and stuff. Go right back to Hamilton where I knew everybody. And at this point, I gave up on my family and I gave up on society in a way. I felt safer on the streets around my friends who had similar issues, who had similar fears and things like that. And I felt more comfortable being on the streets, doing whatever, you know. It's like like a boys club for real. Like I felt safer there than actually going home. And those things progressed for me. Like I stayed in jail as a juvenile, but that's another thing too. Going to jail, it didn't bother me. You know, that's where my friends were. That's where I knew people. That's where I could connect with other people and say, yeah, I mean, look what the world's done to us. Look what we have to subject ourselves to. And I didn't find solutions there either. I was just, hopeless kid that probably would end up in the system for the rest of his life. And I just didn't know. So like I get older, I'd say like I get out of jail finally about like age 18. I didn't stay home. I ran away all the time. I didn't stay home at all. I felt safer out there, honestly. And that's the crazy thing for a child, to do. And so again, I'm estranged from my mom. Eventually, I just ran away from my dad too. So I branched out on my own, and that's when, I had used substances. Like my mom was the type to be my friend because I was the boy and she didn't know how to deal with me. And I was rambunctious and I was, a fun-loving child. So good idea, offer him some alcohol. He can smoke, all this stuff, like my friends were doing it as well. So from there, it was like a relief, like the first time, I just took a big sigh and said, this is the reality where I want to be in because my reality is jacked up. And that's when, plus like my parents both using still, like I just felt that's what I always would be. I would always be that. And, getting older, most people grow up, have kids, move on, try to put some family together. To this day, I've never had kids because of fear. It was also a resentment because like I wanted to push my family so far away from what had happened to me that I didn't have children. I didn't want them around my kids at all. I didn't want them around me whatsoever. But I couldn't reconcile that because obviously they're still my parents and they did the best they could and stuff. So, with that, like as a kid, I didn't get trophies in school. My thing was like beating up the neighbor kids. That was a win to me. I used drugs for the first time. That was my trophies. That felt so good to me because of the pain that I went through and the fears that I went through. So, so I get out of jail and, as a 18-year-old, I get out of jail and, I got some choices to make and I choose, anything that's a deflection from my inner pain and my inner fear of, growing up and growing out. So I'm just using endlessly. It's just what I thought I was. It's just what I thought I was. Surround myself with people who kind of like, I could deflect the fear, act like the tough guy or act like the drug dealer or act like I didn't care about my family or act like I didn't care about myself. It was a good deflection for me to run from fear. All the while, I just didn't have the fortitude of character to face the things I had been through. That's what it was like growing up. And I didn't have a way out, a solution. I'd been drowned in that my whole life. Fears and fears and fears and fears. Selling drugs, went to prison for a little while. Didn't help. Treatment, stuff like that. Didn't help me at all whatsoever. But I hadn't surrendered. I hadn't thrown the towel. It was a standing 8 count for me, which is crazy. Had I known. But so fast forward to, I was in a relationship with a girl for, I'll say like 6 years, engaged to be married. I knew I was jacked up. I couldn't stop using, and it spilled onto her. Like all this stuff spilled onto her, someone that I was the closest to in my entire life. I never had a relationship past like 14 months because I just pushed people away for fear, you know. The things God had for me, I just wasn't able to step up and accept them or do anything about it. So, but I was in a relationship with her, and that's when I had used all the drugs, all of them. It never was, maybe I shouldn't do this. I just want the, this thing to stop. Like, please just stop. The pain too. Also, it was just a warm hug. Like I felt like I needed that. But so I'm using, IV user. I find speed. That's my thing. Find opiates. That's my thing. It was all my thing for real. Whatever I could do to stop, looking back or looking forward, whatever, just to be mixed up in my life and my brain. So, turned into, hopeless junkie, so to speak. But I managed to, after, prison, my family could find me at this point because I was like way deep in the depths of whatever, trying to avoid. Like I was a spin artist straight up. Like you couldn't find me for days, weeks, months. Like, and I love that dog, doing that. So from there, they found me, and I kept in contact with them. But again, I still had this deep resentment and fear of, either expressing my feelings to them, how I really felt, because I didn't know how to, expressing to my mother how hurt I was, expressing to my father how hurt I was. I was scared of that. I didn't know how to. So I made the choice to move to Lexington, Kentucky, to be around my families, my sister and my mom, because I wanted to reconcile. I figured that would be the fix for me. Being around my family, rekindling the stuff I had as a child, because I didn't have, anything, families. Like I pushed a lot of it away. A lot of it was my fault as far as running from family that tried to be there for me. So I moved down there. I wasn't doing hard drugs, but I was still using, drinking, whatever I could do. Untreated addiction, that's where I was at that point. And I thought for sure, well, I probably, in the end, I went down there to do better, but I couldn't do better because I hadn't been liberated from my addiction. I hadn't surrendered, nothing like that. So what I really did was I went down there to thrust all my pain and my fears and everything onto them, not knowingly, but of course with the pain that I had, that's what exactly happened for me. I go down there, I put together a functioning type of lifestyle. I had a really nice house, 3-bedroom house. My girlfriend, who I was in love with, my fiance, we cared for each other. We put the needle down for a while. I was still using. I felt like I had to. Nothing would quiet down the things I felt inside, and I didn't know how to express them. So from there, I'm using. So COVID happened. I'm by myself. I got all this money. I got this house and stuff. And I didn't get my need met coming to see my family and my sisters and stuff. I didn't get that need met that I wanted. External measures trying to validate myself. And it just didn't work for me. I know now why it didn't work for me. So things got out of control. I'm using like very heavy, like I'm back, being an IV user every single day, all day. Now it's spilled onto my girlfriend. I care a lot about. Her family's back in Ohio, and she followed me there because she knew what was inside that I felt like I needed to help or fix or express my story. But I didn't get that need met, so it made it worse. More resentment, more anger, more fear, more of my pain, perpetrated on her and her whole family and stuff like that. So we knew we had a problem. Like this was one of the first times where I thought maybe I need treatment, maybe I need to get help. We started mulling that around. I still worked, I still paid bills, I still did this stuff, but it wasn't good. Like when things didn't add up, I turned into that old person where I could go out and practically do anything to anybody for my own particular needs. You know, back when I used to run to the streets and my friends where, you know, I felt okay to do whatever, because, you know, I didn't feel like people knew the depths of my pain and stuff, so it all came crashing down. The girlfriend at the time was going to be with her granddaughter that was being born here in Dayton. And I said, okay. She's like, you know, I'm gonna come back in a few days because I'm dope sick, obviously. I can't be without it or you. So, and that's a crazy place to be. Looking back, like I kind of perpetrated that. She made her own choices, but I kind of perpetrated that. So I'm bleeding on people that never cut me. And she's one that I really did that, as well as my family, as well as a lot of other people. And I'm not accepting, you know, hardships as a pathway to peace. I'm not accepting that stuff. So, she goes up there, and it takes longer than what it's supposed to. And obviously, she's around her family, and they see, you know, it's glaring. She's on dope. She's dope sick. She's messed up, and I'm freaking out because she's not coming home, at least at that point. And something that I knew right then that she wasn't coming back. So that's exactly what happened. Her parents said they're not going back there. So I'm, you know, I've got all this stuff. Fear really, really crept in because what was supposed to happen was she was going to come back and I was going to go into treatment. We were going to live happily ever after. But, you know, God had other plans for me. So from there, she goes to Woodhaven. I didn't know it because I don't communicate with you. So I'm just down there like she's left, she's done. Her family's going to keep me away from her forever. You know, that's just devastated me. So I'm using more and more, and I thought, you know what? This is the last straw. Like, I'm not going to make it out of here anymore. So I'm doing the most. Like, I'm trying to, you know, unalive myself, you know what I mean? And I thought, this is it. No one can help me. I came down here to be with my family. They can't help me. I didn't try any other avenues. I hadn't reached out to God yet. So finally, it went on that way for a while, and it's like the most broken I ever was in my life because everything I thought I had surrounding me just evaporated, and you know, it was a good thing in the end. So I called Woodhaven. Now I'm in Kentucky. I have insurance in Kentucky, and they're like, you have to, you know, get insurance in Ohio, which means you have to drop it there. Which around me there was a bunch of treatment centers I looked into. And no, God had other plans. I was supposed to end up here. I was supposed to end up on this stage. So what had happened was I canceled my insurance down there on faith, sort of chasing my girlfriend up here to Woodhaven too. But I canceled my insurance there, and it was like on a Thursday. They said we can come get you on Monday. And it's a 2.5 hour drive one way and a 2.5 hour drive back. And I'm, you know, bare of insurance, but they did like emergency insurance and stuff. So, some clarity. The drugs quit working. I can't stop crying. You know, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. But I knew, like, I did have a clarity moment when the drugs quit working, and people were far away from me. I pushed them all away from me, like people I normally just interacted with and stuff. Quit my job and everything. I was the lowest point of my entire life. You know, I had marks all over me. You know, it was devastating to my, you know, to myself. So they called me and they said, we're going to come pick you up on Monday. So I have to make it from Thursday to Monday with this idea in my head that I'm actually going to go be saved. I'm actually going to go be liberated from a hopeless state of being, a hopeless state of mind. And from there, you know, I could have backed out. I thought I didn't have nowhere else to turn, nowhere to turn whatsoever. Now I don't have insurance in Kentucky. Are they going to come get me? I didn't trust that. I was scared, I was fearful, I didn't trust none of that stuff. I talked to the lady on the phone almost every day. This is how beautiful it was, because she called me every day. Are you still coming? Are you still coming? Are you still coming? Are you still coming? I'm not gonna lie, I was chasing the girlfriend up here too. So that Monday came around and they said, "We're sorry, we can't do it today. Our guy's not gonna be there today." So great, here I am again. I'm not gonna make it out of this door anymore. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and end it. So my nervousness kept me using, like, to the point where, I don't remember the last time I came down from substance use. It had been a while. Even people would say that, "When's the last time you came down?" And so they called me. I think they said, "We can come get you in a couple days. But you have to go." So I had some cats in my house. I had, my house. I had a swimming pool. I had stuff. I'm sitting there, hopeless, devastated, can't stop crying, didn't know what to do. And that's when they called me, "We'll be there." Okay, cool. Through that whole time period, something just kept pushing me to say, "You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this." So I did. They picked me up. I left everything completely behind. I wound up here. The girlfriend left treatment probably a few days after that. And I get in there and, I woke up to some realities of stuff. I found God in that place for real. I had my spiritual experiences. I was liberated. I was rescued. I realized, I serve a mighty God who showed mercy to someone, showed, grace to someone like myself. I learned in that moment, none of this stuff meant what I thought it meant. Like it said, perfect love casts out all fear.
Come on.
And I had to, be totally broken to accept that perfect love that was, that was Jesus Christ. And so I did the treatment 101 days. It's crazy, like my wounds are healed. The desire's been removed. And today, as far as fear, like I tell myself, how I deal with fear today is, once I took the third step, like I made a decision to turn my will and care over to the God of my understanding. And anything besides that is not, any more of that decision. So once I made that decision, I asked myself, what answers would my God give me? And when He does give answers, that's what I do. If I ask for, if He tells me not to do something, that's not what I do. So, like that right there, helps with fear a lot, for me to do God's will, not necessarily mine. And it truly does. It casts out all fear. So I graduated Woodhaven, and I had a little bit of time under my belt, but I didn't know where I was going to go from there. So, like a miracle that is my life, that's got me up here today, God orchestrated for something more amazing than I could ever imagine to happen in my life. And someone who didn't even work there happened to be there on my last day at Woodhaven, and I didn't know where I was going to go. Full Circle wouldn't take me because I had hepatitis B and hepatitis C. So it was contagious, it was spreadable. They couldn't take me, it wasn't acceptable. So I didn't know where I was going to go. Someone happened to be there that didn't even work there, but said, "Hey, we got a place for you." I said, "Okay, let's do this. Let's move forward." So I ended up in Life Changing Family Care Services. The place was small at the time. There was no men, it was only women. So myself and a few others were the first men to come in this program. And since the place has grown tremendously, we're going to open up a detox. We're going to open up a PHP. It's just grown tremendously and rapidly. And going through that, I learned a lot of my problem was trauma, childhood trauma. And that trauma, like I said, never gave me the signal that the threat has passed. And it's those windshield wipers going like this, the anxiety. I've learned a lot from this program. I've learned a lot from the things I've been through. But, again, God is a great, great God for myself. And it's been a beautiful thing. So I'm fixing to graduate. Well, this was then. I was fixing to graduate from Life Changing Family Care Services. And they said, we want you to work for us because you've shown, extreme character, adversity, all these things that I never could, do. And once I became a collaborator and a co-creator with my God, things really, really helped and really opened up. And so they said, how about we do some schooling? How about we do some understanding? So I sit here today with the CDCA.
Come on, man.
I sit here today. I sit here today, qualified behavioral health specialist, peer support, CPR, for what that's worth. I'll save your life. But I had to get with those people that had God in their life, that believed in me, that had it when I didn't have it, that showed me. And I was saying it earlier today, I know a lot of people in my life from before, but the people I know in recovery were probably lining this street all the way downtown. People I just know, whether it's in passing, it doesn't slip my mind to see all of this stuff right here and see all these beautiful faces who come here for this. The Spirit has led us here to break the chains that used to chain us, and that was fear, that was resentments, that was anger towards everything in the world, anger towards the God that I didn't know at the time, anger towards all of that stuff. So my dad's proud of me. My mom's proud of me. And all that stuff I try to fix, manage, and control is now coming back to me as if it's chasing me instead of me chasing it. And that's because God said, watch this.
Amen.
Watch this.
Amen.
I surrendered to a new way of life. I was liberated from drugs and alcohol on 7/12/2022. So I sit here with 15 months and 6 days.
Okay.
So fear is, it's a powerful force. It's a really powerful force. But, I serve a God who gives me answers that will never increase my fear, will never increase fear for me. That's how I get through that, as far as His will goes, because I believe in the depths of my being, whatever He pushes me to do will be done without fear. I thank you guys for listening to me. I'm glad to be here. That's all I got.
Thank you.